Eric Bischoff had a very interesting hot take recently on his podcast, 83 Weeks. Before I let you know my thoughts about the subject, let's explain exactly what Eric Bischoff said. According to Bischoff, age doesn't really matter. Speaking on the podcast, Bischoff claimed that the idea of washed-up wrestlers was popularized during the Monday Night War. Explaining that it takes a long time for younger wrestlers to establish themselves, Bischoff argued that sometimes older talent can give a rub to an up-and-comer. He had this to say: I think that the whole idea of age, it's worth a discussion and maybe even a show specifically about this topic. I think it started all with the Monday Night Wars. I think it all started with Vince McMahon thinking Hulk Hogan no longer had any value, that Randy Savage no longer had any value, that Roddy Piper no longer had any value, that Ric Flair no longer had any value, that so many established big names were just kind of like it was time to put them out to pasture. You go all the way back to Warrior and Hogan in the WWF when Vince wanted to put the belt on Warrior because he felt that Hogan was done. When was this? 91, 92? When Hogan was 37, 38, whatever he was? Once part of the roster came to WCW and started kicking Vince McMahon's ass on a regular basis, what did Vince do? He started framing and contextualizing aforementioned talent to being too old and washed up has-beens. The Billionaire Ted skits, where Vince made fun of the talent, a lot of the performers were used to beat his ass. That was perpetuated throughout the wrestling media, and age became a subject. Look at some of the biggest hits, and I'm going to pull a couple that are older now because I kind of analyzed them over the years, but they still hold up. Sons of Anarchy on FX. The average age of that cast of Sons of Anarchy was probably 55 years old, and it had the strongest 18 to 49 male demographic of any show in its time period or at that time. So I think when people who don't know what the fuck all about television, because they really never done it, start talking about the granular aspects of television, like the relative age of the characters compared to the target audience, they run themselves into a ditch because they don't know what they're talking about. The audience doesn't feel the same way about the age of the talent as the people who do write about it. If you look at it the other end, it takes younger talent. I'm talking about guys that are under 30 or 35 years old. It takes them a good 5, 8, 10 years to really connect with the audience in a way where they are really viable, consistently high-performing characters. It takes a while. The young talent that everybody talks about grooming, yes, absolutely. You need to bring that talent up. You need to brush them up against the Sting. You need to be Darby Allin getting that rub from Sting in AEW. That's how you utilize guys like Sting because the audience is still invested in Sting. AEW just signed Big Show. I said, what? What the hell? But they did. Why? It was a good calculation. Big Show is a name with a ton of frequent equity. Now, will they use him in the ring? Probably not. If they do, it'll be an occasional thing, which is fine. What Eric Bischoff is saying is it takes almost 5 years for a talent to get truly over and become an established star with the audience. Yes, there are cases where talent did get over super fast, like Brock Lesnar, for example, but you do need older legends to help them grow the company. Bischoff looks at wrestling in terms of numbers. He is seeing it as the audience watching isn't the same age as the performers, which is true. It's crazy to believe that Vince McMahon was tired of Hulk Hogan when he was only 37 or 38 years old, when Goldberg is currently 54 years old and The Undertaker is 56. Bischoff went on to say that you need young talent, but you also need old established talent, which I completely agree with. The older talent has a track record. They are established. They are household names. People know who they are. The way the older names need to be used is to put over that younger talent. It starts becoming a problem when they decide to focus the entire company around the older talent. It seems like they forget that the young up-and-coming talent are even around. One of the easiest storylines in pro wrestling is the passing of the torch. When you have an older talent on top lose to a younger guy and then have them show the respect to the young guy who he just put over. It works, and I think that's the point Eric Bischoff is making here. The biggest issue is that they don't always do that and they rely on old-timers too much. They think that they will be the solution when ratings are down. The best example of a promoter trying to make this work was Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman was almost brought into TNA Wrestling to help with the creative direction of the company. One of the things he pitched was the youth movement. He wanted all the young talent to be around in the company. However, even he knew that he needed 1 or 2 older established guys on the show to help build younger stars and draw eyeballs to the product. If Heyman's vision of TNA would have really happened, the company would be in a completely different place now. Well, there you have it. Even Paul Heyman would agree with Eric Bischoff. Older wrestlers are still effective if they are used properly, but most of the time in WWE, they use them as a crutch to draw ratings instead of having them put over younger talent.